Hi guys, my name is George and I'm here with my wife and Sylvia, and we have started this new podcast to start talking about our journey with our newborn daughter Sakira.
Yeah, and then this podcast is going to be called the Nomadic Parents, and it's the podcast we wish we would have seen online when were just about to be parents.
To learn all the stuff that you would wish you know.
And we're going to separate this podcast into 12 episodes where every episode represents 1 month in the life of our daughter and what we learned and what we wished we would have known earlier.
And then probably we'll even go further on beyond that. But at least we have 12 episodes planned and coming up. Let's get it started.
Yeah. Hey guys, my name is Sylvia, this is Akira, and together with my husband Georg, we're launching a new parental podcast. We've been together for over a decade, and a lot of the time we've been traveling. And in 2019, we started our first company, which also has involved a lot of remote working. As family, business partners, and traveling parents, there is a lot to life which needs balancing. In this podcast, we share month-by-month updates from my daughter's upbringing, from birth and further into her life on the road. Welcome to our new podcast, The Nomadic Parents.
So what is this podcast gonna be all about?
Well, first of all, it's going to be the journey for us as parents and what we learn on the way. And I also think or at least I would like to highlight what kind of stages our baby goes through every month. You know, like when does she start to crawl or smile or say her first word and stuff like that.
Absolutely. And we're also gonna have some fixed topics in every episode, like sleep patterns,
Cognitive development, physical development, and parenting challenges. And that's the 4 topics we go through every time.
So 4 topics in every single episode, in addition to those different stages that we're going through.
We're going to be really personal in terms of what kind of challenges we have met and how we've solved stuff.
All the fights we have been going through.
No offense.
All the love that we have been experiencing. No, I'm sure it's going to be great. I'm personally really excited about this podcast. I think it's going to be another one of many that we're doing. And this is going to be probably one of the most personal ones where you get to know us on a quite family-based level. And we're probably going to develop quite a bit personally throughout this podcast as we I'm expecting it to happen that once you become a father or a mother and there's different priorities in life lining up, there's a lot of change happening, not only like on the physical side of the world, but also like actually metaphysically in the body with the hormones.
Becoming parents, from the process of going from 2 to 3 is such a big step or hurdle in your life, and it completely messes up everything.
We have been through a little bit of parenting though with Lola, and also been parenting a lot of our friends.
For those of you who don't know, Lola is our dog. She's a street dog from Barcelona. We picked her up 9 years ago, and she had a lot of problems in the beginning, so we've been parenting her or training her a lot.
And with that, I think let's get into a bit who we actually are behind this episode. 12 years ago we met. We met in high school.
Yeah.
In
Allison.
Do you remember much about it?
I remember all of that summer. I've been checking out my classmates, and you were on the list, but you didn't have Facebook at the time, and I was total stalker at the time. Googled all the classmates on Facebook, but you weren't there, so I was a bit sad that there was no handsome guys in my class. But then the first day you met up, and I was like, it's that one! I want that one! And then kind of happened.
I went undercover during that time. I had a Facebook profile called like a different name and all this kind of stuff. So yeah, but I remember it to be like click on very first moment.
Yeah.
When we met, it was a really beautiful encounter. Like both of us had not really been in any long-term relationships. We had our youth flirts. We were quite young at that time, 17 years old.
Yeah. So now we're 29. I keep on telling people that we're 28. So I just keep on messing up. So a lot of people now think that we're 28 because I just keep telling them. But yeah,
Getting old.
we're getting old. We got married back in 2019 and have been talking about getting kids for many years.
Yeah, but let's move into our motivations for kids a bit later. More about ourselves. We are really extreme sport enthusiasts. We both love being out in nature, traveling, hiking. I personally surf a lot the last years. You're also getting into it.
I'm trying to surf, but both ski a lot and we both climb a lot. And when we say hiking, we have like we do all levels of hiking. I would say like short hikes, extreme hikes, like which means 2 weeks or steep hike.
But definitely our favorite is long-term, like days, many day hikes, sleepovers, just getting completely off the grid, no connections, being out there for a long while. Doesn't have to be like very intense. Sometimes we go very intense. Sometimes we just literally go half an hour into the forest and stay there for a couple of days.
Yeah, and other times we do 200 kilometers in a week.
Yeah, we do a lot of different things, a lot of cool stuff. You should definitely check out some of our YouTube videos and the stuff we do. And we're definitely going to bring Sakira a lot into that life when she's growing up.
Yeah.
It's going to be a tough life for her.
I think, like moving a bit into our background, I think you grew up with this kind of parents. So for you, it's very normal. And also, I feel like we can always ask them a lot for help and like if we have questions, stuff like that. So they've been really supportive.
It's fun you say that. Like, we have very different backgrounds. So my background is coming from a very adventurous, very active family. Always a lot of low-cost activity, but always like out in nature.
It's not true. Low-cost activities. You guys flew to the States.
Okay, probably we.
Like,
but like the execution was already.
piece of equipment for climbing and hiking equipment. Like, like States. Jeep.
But it's not like a 5-star hotel family.
You also did that with your grandparents and stuff.
I did. I'm guilty as charged. Or what about your upbringing?
I actually had a much, I wouldn't say poor, but cheaper upbringing. Every year we went to the neighboring country, Sweden, with our camper van, or do you call it a camper van? Like a big camper mobile house. But I had a great upbringing. I have 2 sisters. I'm the middle sister. And a lot of playtime, a lot of candy, unlimited amounts of candy, which Sakira is not going to have. And we also flew a lot to Paris, London, and the Philippines. My mom's from the Philippines, so yeah.
So that's a bit more about our upbringing. But yeah, you can, I mean, we're probably gonna do something else where we talk more about ourselves. This is a podcast where we focus about our daughter and us becoming parents. So,
but
yeah,
obviously, these kind of stuffs influence our opinions and our moral compass and stuff like that. But
yeah, I agree with you. I agree. Let's move into a bit why we chose to get parents and what's our motivation and also like why we're looking forward to it. But before we're going into that, I just wanted to name drop that you should, if you want to know more about our past life before becoming parents, we are working on and uploading a podcast called Time to Live, which is going to also be a very fun podcast where we go into a lot of our traveling years and the experiences we made.
Yeah.
I definitely recommend everyone to check that one out. Give it a thumbs up and share it around.
Yeah, and it's a project we've been doing for 8 years, so it's one of our babies as well.
It has some
Like
depth.
yeah.
Time to Live is a baby of ours, for sure. But enough about the self-commercial. Let's get into it. Why do we want to get parents?
Well, originally, we didn't really plan to make a baby. We really wanted to adopt, but the adoption process in Norway is very complicated, expensive, time-consuming, and we really wanted 2 kids. But from the time you have from the start the process to have 2 kids is 10 years in Norway. So we just decided, let's make one and adopt another one.
Yeah. It was really tough news to get that. It would take, because as you say, we only wanted to adopt for the single reason that we think there is enough kids in the world there. We are already fighting overpopulation in many countries. And if there is one single thing that we personally believe that Westerners could do, or people from more wealthy countries could do, is to adopt children, because that way you can help other people from the world, but you can also create a bridge.
But a lot of people in Norway are like in the line of wanting to adopt. It's just the system is very broken.
Yeah, I'm not saying that a lot of people are not wanting to do it. There's a lot of people wanting to do it. What I actually want to say is, I want to underline how horrible the worldwide system is right now, because it takes, as you said, forever in terms of training and applications and waiting time and costs, not to mention it costs. Like the cost of adopting a child in Norway is around 30 to 40,000 euros.
Yeah, for
So the plan now is, going back to our plan, is having our own kid,
Yeah.
letting that kid grow up 2 years, 3 years, and then having executed kind of full adoption process, so we can also adopt a second child around the same age.
yeah. So they will grow up being hopefully best friends and like be kind of the same age, maybe not mentally on the same place in terms of the age, but at least have each other.
Yes. So
And but yeah, why did we want to become parents now? We always talked about it. We talked a lot about having an extended family.
I think one thing that differentiates us from a lot of other people in our close circles, and maybe also worldwide now, is that there aren't a lot of people that meet and from the very first time kind of envision, okay, I met my life partner. There's a lot of people that kind of date, meet up, I know people are in relationships for years, and if you ask them, is this your life partner? Then the answer is like, we'll see.
Yeah, people are so unsure. Grass is always greener on the other side, and I feel like part of that is broken because of the dating culture. You know, you can just swipe for something better. There's probably something better. There's so many fish in the ocean type mentality, and
A lot of people end up being lonely.
yeah. And I think the key to our success is that a relationship requires hard work.
I wouldn't call it success though.
No, but I think
To the road
a
we've
lot of-
taken.
a lot of people really underestimate how much work it is to make stuff work. It's not said that we're going to be happy all the time, you know. We put aside time to discuss things, talk about our feelings, and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, definitely a lot of hard work in building a long-term relationship. But from the very start, we've been like kind of uniform in the sense of we want children.
Yeah.
And it's almost like it's just randomly aligned that we were pretty much agreeing that it will be in the end of our 20s. And it wasn't, I mean, I even recall when we were 18, 19, we're like, yeah, we're going to have children. It's going to be when we're like in the end of the 20s.
You know, now when I think back at it, the process from when we stopped contraception until we got pregnant was just some months. And the thought process of like going from not wanting to be parents to wanting to be parents was really fast. And I think that's one of the reasons for why we wanted kids at the time was that we had done so much. We'd started several companies, a lot of building projects, and we were just closing off and ending a lot of those projects, and I was looking for something new, and we were at the right age to start making a family. So
yeah, I think it came naturally. It was we didn't actually talk about it all, share about what we do and what we work with, but we can go a bit back to that when we finish this matter.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it was about time mentally to put work in second priority. Yeah. To put it very simple, I think work and career had been first priority for us very long time.
Yeah.
And we've really given it all and made a lot of achievements. And now it's really time to have second priority. And I really feel like that too. I feel like it doesn't matter so much anymore.
I agree.
It's important for me. It's important to do a good job. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter so much.
Yeah, so now we're the Nomadic Parents.
Yeah, where does the name come from? When you suggested that name, I was always thinking Nomadic Parents. You know, from when I was a very young boy, I adored nomads and gypsies.
Yeah.
So
for a digital in front, and it's like modernized.
I mean, for you, nomadic means more like living a lot of different places in the world.
Which is
I get it, and I think that most people will look at it, but I just find it funny. For me, it has like a double meaning.
But you're a very gypsy.
Oh yeah,
Like you are very drawn to alternative stuff and that lifestyle.
yeah.
But yeah, why? Well, since we became a thing 12 years ago, we've always been traveling a lot, and it's part of our identity to move around. And when I say travel, I don't mean like, oh, we took 1 weekend in Paris type of travel. Like we spent several months away.
We very rarely do like short-term travel. Sometimes we go to a city to just because, oh, we really want to see that city,
Really want to party.
or we really want a short
That
escape.
doesn't happen
We even been. This sounds a bit crazy, I think, to a lot of people, but there's even been a lot of times where we've been on a travel, and a long-term travel, and when we're on the long-term travel, we feel sick of the long-term travel, so we go on a short-term vacations from the travel.
Yeah, so for us, I guess traveling is more about moving around and living different places.
Yeah,
That's why
I mostly don't call it travel.
I don't call it life.
Yeah, it's just like
But
let's just
for us,
moving.
it's life. But for other people, they're not gonna connect that.
Yeah, it's true. So since we met, we've almost pretty much worked together.
Yeah.
I've been kind of the driving force in entrepreneurship. I remember in our early age, it took us quite a bit of talking and time to have you free yourself from the like A4 going to study.
Definitely.
And I get it, because you so probably know whatever security in not. And I think I just really see that now, because at that time I was like, why is it so hard to make Sylvia understand that it's easy to make your life without medication? For me, it was like no discussion, blah blah. And
No, we're Norwegian. We're like formed and pushed into this mold of time
but
again.
everyone in the world,
Yeah, like education and then buying a house and then getting a family,
yeah, I just see it now, that how off the grid I was, like how few people just go from high school.
You had your first business when you were
16.
so the year before you met me, and you've been just like piling it up.
Yeah, it's always been like natural for me to find my own ways of making money and not being dependent on an employment in another company.
So that's just super short for people to give them context.
I can
Give them a scope of what kind of companies we have.
We started our when we met, we went on the road. Then we did a lot of consulting work, mostly within film and photography. So we did a lot of gigs around the world, just moving, like making good money off one job, then living very resourceful and not really spending a lot of money, and just enjoying life. We did that for a couple of years. Then we moved to Berlin, where we reattempted that kind of dream of maybe studying. But in the reality, I just continued building like communication jobs on the side.
Your computer screen, you had this really old plasma TV which you mounted on the wall, and you had like this shitty MacBook in front. I have some photos of it. It looks really weird.
But I enjoyed
Compared to now.
I enjoyed it. And yeah, from there on, we stayed a bit in Berlin. Then we moved to Norway in Trondheim. There you also attempted to study, but you figured out that it wasn't fun after all, whilst I continued building.
Talk about the company.
Yeah, I'm getting to that part now. And then after, I think, 4 years together, and me making a lot of money with content jobs and you also helping in, you kind of completely let go and we're like, okay, let's do this.
Yeah.
And then we started our first company, like proper company called Elys Co, which we've been running for the last 5 years, which grew into a quite like well-established agency in Ålesund, because we moved back to our hometown. And while building that company, we also built up a thrift shop and trying currently to build up a restaurant. Not going extremely well, but that will be another talk. Yeah, right now life is good. We started our 5th company now, and I really believe in this one, building but quite strong track records. And then we're also
Not the 5th company. We also have the digital online companies, and then also like entrepreneurship. What do you call it? Like a housing company.
Yeah, that's true. I was getting to it. We also started a house swapping or a flipping company. that we're really focusing in now these days, building up. We've done a couple of jobs previously, made good money on that. But right now we're aiming, I mean, on one side, our communication agency is doing really well and working itself. So it gives us new time to be focusing on a house flipping company.
Yeah, to summarize a bit then, all our companies are online, which enables us to travel or live wherever we want. And that's how we've been building the company since the start, or at least tried. It's not easy to say it that way, but so we work wherever we want, and that's why it became the digital nomadic parents.
And so we've been a time in Ålesund, but now we kind of, with Zakira's birth, we're going off Ålesund. We're closing that chapter, and we're starting to be around in the world again. Even though we have been traveling a lot the recent years as well. I would say we've maybe been 8 months a year in Ålesund and 4 months abroad. But now we're just gonna be around and around. And
more like 66. No, 50-50. Like it's like 6.
But now we're in. We're going to and staying in Ecuador during pretty much like the first year, or lots of the first year of Zakira's life. We spent a little bit time in Norway first, up to Christmas with our parents, but now we're gonna be in Ecuador, and after that we'll see. We bought a house in North Norway, which is probably gonna be our next flipping project. So North Norway next destination, but for the upcoming years, I think our plan is. Yeah, you need to help me jump in a bit. It's not only my plan. For the upcoming years, we're pretty loose. We're like, we have made like a wish list that is like living a bit.
Yeah, it has made a wish list.
You have contributed.
Yes, but you are the planner. He has a 10-year wish list, like until the 2030, you have it planned out. But it's even like, it's a very funny list because it even says how old Zakira is and how potentially old the adopted child is. And like, for example, when they're 6 years.
You make me sound like a nerd.
Yeah, but you are a nerd. There's nothing bad about that.
A nice nerd.
Yeah, nice nerd.
Yeah, it's true.
And when there's, for example, when Zakira is 6 years old, we're going to be in Oslo because then she starts school.
Yeah. So there's a couple of things that we're planning to do the next years. Maybe some time in Japan, Asia, maybe some time in Africa. We're traveling in van. We have a van. We haven't mentioned that. We have a van in Spain now, and a garage that we've had for a long, long time and been traveling a lot in.
It's 44 years old
this year. Yeah.
So it's an oldie. So a goldie, and we love it a lot.
So when Zakira is about 3 years old, when we've done the house flipping project in North Norway, then we intend to go with the van and drive it.
It's funny that you mentioned the van now, because the last days I've been really homesick for the van, because we've spent a lot of the last years, or a lot of the time last years in the van, and it just feels like home. It almost feels more like home than our apartment in Ålesund.
I actually, because we have 2 apartments that we've owned for a long time in Ålesund, and was kind of our first investments in that house clipping company. And we've done a lot of renovation to them, and I think personally now we're really moving into property industry, because I personally am very interested. I love redesigning, I love investing and selling. And
I love building and flipping and coming up with smart solutions, and we're
good at it. We're really good at it. We enjoy it a lot.
I also grew up with my dad, always being a handyman and building houses. He's built 2 houses, so I was part of one of those processes, and just feels like part of my identity.
It's gonna be exciting times in our life, because I think we're gonna have a very natural and good balance between working a bit on the computer, working physically, having the chance to be a lot with Zakira.
Yeah.
And also the fact that we are gonna travel so much, I think is gonna really give us a lot of nice time together, because, for example, in Ecuador, we're going to stay very tight in a house, staying together all the time. Even though we work a bit, there is a lot of engagement of both of us, not just like you home, me gone.
definitely. Like, we're gonna be very hands-on parents, and I'm really excited to talk a bit about, like, next episode's obviously gonna be about Sakira's first month and our adaptations for that. But before, in this episode, like episode 0, let's call it that, let's talk a bit about our expectations, because I feel like I did a lot of research. You know, the typical mother hen that like reads about pregnancy and the birth and what you should eat and not eat and stuff like that. And you
Indeed.
laid off.
Yeah, you do.
Okay, I have a really funny story. I hope you don't feel like hung out for it. But for example, Georg is originally from Germany, and he thought all pregnant ladies drink beer.
No, that's not true. I didn't.
Drink beer.
It's not like that big thing.
So yeah, that's just to set the standard of information you had acquired.
Yeah, you're right. Let's jump into parenting styles and preparations a bit. I think we're closing into the end of this episode.
Yeah.
In episode 1, as Silva said, we're gonna share much more about the preparation for birth and our very first month. But
I was expecting a lot of sleepless nights in the beginning, and we also talked about a lot about what kind of parents we wanted to be. So, for example, that we don't want to introduce sugar too early. We want our child to be able to explore within certain limits, because I'm more cautious than you, I guess. And for example, this example of climbing trees, you were really on to that she should be able to climb all trees she wants.
yeah, so that was
like,
possible.
we need 2 meters, not more than 2 meters.
Yeah.
So
I just remembered that my father was very much enabling me all the time to take risks and try out things and learn boundaries myself. Not watching me, always staying along and watching and joining, but there wasn't much of a no culture. Like in no culture in the sense of no, don't do that, no, don't do that, go, not, no. There was a lot of yes. There was like, try it, see what happens, and only really going into the situations when he saw that, okay, this could really put me in danger.
Yeah. But I think it shaped a lot of who you become during the year, because you were really bad at risk judging.
Not like something that kills someone.
No, I don't mean like towards other people. Like, don't misunderstand. You're really careful towards other people, but when you are alone, always pushing the limits, going on the most extreme hikes. Like some months ago, you did -30 hikes alone without gas, wasn't it? No, like no winter gas, so you didn't really have a source of water, but you were like, I want to do it.
Yeah, but I don't die. And I never really hurt myself. Like all other people around me hurt themselves much more.
Yeah, but the margins are small, so I would say you're a risk taker.
I'd say the margins are bigger because I am used to the risk.
Let's agree to disagree.
Yeah, let's do it. But anyway, parenting styles, you can see this is going to be exciting. And I think it's going to continue to be exciting in this podcast because as we promised in the beginning, we're going to be true to the essence in this. And I think during the episodes, if we disagree on something, and if there's phases in Sakira's life where we disagree, we're also going to be upfront on it through this podcast. And yeah, it's true what Ansela says. In terms of expectations, I've always had this picture of like being an enabler, like bringing her out on all kind of challenges. Like it doesn't matter what age, always stretching the limits for her.
Yeah.
But I think you are more of a mother hen in the perspective of what you want to do.
Yeah, we push and pull, but I feel like we're good at meeting in the middle. And what I really value about you is that when I do research and I tell you something, you always remember it. For example, no honey in the first year of living.
Almost always. Almost. I think there are gonna come times in this podcast where you're gonna grill me for like repeatedly forgetting something.
Yeah, I mean, do bump our head a bit.
All right. I think that's pretty much the end of it. I mean, in terms of expectations, I'm just really looking forward to those first months, sharing those stories. I'm really looking forward to first steps.
Yeah, I feel like you told me at least that you're really looking forward till she's maybe 7, 8 months and starts like walking around or crawling and is a bit more aware. And I don't know, I mean, just so long for the ride. It's all part of life, I guess.
A lot of parents have told us that you will miss the is it called toddler?
No, that's opposite. The newborn phase.
Yeah, you will miss the newborn phase when she's just laying around, not doing much, blah blah. And then the only thing I can think of, I don't know yet, so I'll have to tell you in a couple of months. But the only thing I can think of is like, how can you miss a newborn phase when that thing can't do anything and just lay around and barely look around? I personally, I'm really excited for the running, the talking, the laughing, the playing.
But it's because you have to be present all the time. You have to watch that they don't kill themselves by jumping off a cliff or falling down the stairs or something.
I do think that Sakira and me and you, that we're going to find a very nice balance in terms of self-entertainment, common playtime, sharing responsibility with other parents. And that's actually something, one expectations that I want to mention a bit is a lot of people ask us like, oh, are you sure it's a good idea of like traveling so much when she's so young? The grandparents won't be close. You won't have anyone. But I think like around the world, especially the places where we travel, in those communities, there is a lot of other digital parents or nomadic parents. There is a lot of people around. There are these communities around the world of a lot of people who travel with kids.
Nomads?
Pretty much nomads, modern nomads who hide away around in the world. And we seek those communities.
Yeah, I agree. Like, share responsibility. I feel they've done a lot of, or the society talks a lot about how it takes a village to raise a child, and I think it's true in many ways. And
I do think those villages exist more in the nomadic lifestyle culture than actually. I mean, of course, if you lived in one city all your life and you have all your friends there and blah blah blah, then for sure you have people around who can help you. But also in the daily life, in the daily cities, people are very occupied. Yeah. People are running all the time, and it's maybe only that Saturday you're gonna find some help.
And also, we've like in our travels, we've seen so many small families with small babies that always have this community around them, and because there's so many of them, it's like really starting to pick up that people understand that no, I don't actually have to have your newborn baby just at home and in this safe bubble of no illnesses and no sun.
Yeah. No, so that's something that I'm looking forward to a lot, being around in more free and international communities around the world, selecting the places to live where we actually thrive the most, instead of being locked into one place and just having to pick what that one place can give you.
Definitely. And with that, I think we round up this episode. Let's shortly mention what's going to be in the next episode.
In the next episode, we're going to talk about birth preparations. We're going to talk about the actual birth and the days at the hospital.
And then we're going to talk about from her first days and all up until she turns 1 month and what happens and what kind of development we see and what shocked us, what didn't shock us, what came natural, and how I wish I would have prepared before and maybe didn't.
All right, guys. Thanks for watching this episode or listening to it. If you are on the major podcast platforms and you feel like you want to see one of the episodes, we're also going to put all of them on YouTube, and vice versa. If you just want to listen to them, then you're free to join in on any podcast platform.
Yeah. See you around or hear you around. Bye.
Bye, guys.